do have questions, if you wouldn't mind entering them into the chat box, it'll pop up on your right. If you move your cursor down at the bottom, you'll see the word chat. You just simply click on that, and a chat box will come up on your right-hand side. And you can enter those. I'll be acting as moderator, so if you have questions, I'll ask them of Roberto at the appropriate time. We are hoping to have both Roberto Echeverria and Charlie Villard here to talk about their wines. Specifically today, it's going to be about natural and orange wines, which, as I said earlier, if you weren't here yet, I know nothing about them. So I'm really looking forward to learning about them from Roberto and Charlie. I always have some of the wine of the people. I don't have any natural wines yet. So I've got the Hacienda de Molina, which also comes in a Magnum this year, and Roberto's going to mention that a little later. And I've got the Casanueva, and we were talking about this before, and the labels have changed, but I've got the older labels that Opinion members will be very familiar with, and you see how they've changed with some gorgeous artwork that Roberto will tell us about as well. So without further ado, we'll talk. I said to Roberto, are you the head of the family? And he said, of course not. My father's still alive. But he is owner of Echeverria and a very good friend of Opinion. They've been partners with us for years, and really looking forward to hearing all about it. Roberto, over to you, sir. But you have to unmute yourself there.
Yeah, sorry.
Much better.
I had the number pad over the mouse, so it was
right.
So, well, thank you very much. As you said, I'm Roberto Echeverria. My name is correct there in the Zoom call. Sometimes I have to change it because my kids during the last year, they would change it to their name. So somebody would be Santi, sometimes would be somebody else. So it's good to see it. As a family member, well, I'm the chief winemaker, general manager, family coordinator, truck driver, a little bit of everything as a family we've been doing. I work with my four sisters, my family, my two sisters and my young brother, and my dad fully time. You were joking like, who's the head of the family? Of course, my dad is the head of the family. But normally during these years, the last years, we've been running the winery with my sisters and basically keeping the philosophy as the same way my dad started the branded philosophy. As we've been with Opinion, you said a couple of years, we've been more than 22 years, I think. It's been a long work. In the old days with Kenneth Christie, tasting the wines, making his tasting notes, and now with Jane Masters, that in a very good way, she does the tasting, she presents the wine, she selects them for all of you. So it's a long work with the whole Opinion members, Opinion team. I've been lucky to visit many of you in the past years. There some of you guys, Ron was saying hello from a visit a long time ago in the West Coast. So it's always nice to visit you. I think this technological way, in a way, has put us together in a great way, because this year, not only for you, but for many other markets, we've been able to connect even more than we did in the past because of this technology way. Maybe it's not the same. We don't feel each other. We cannot taste the wine in the same room, but at least we can connect and we can have some questions, some talks, and some slight interaction. We've been this last offering trying to do something a little bit different. Basically, one of the first things that we changed the whole labels or the whole packaging of labels in many of the wines. Mostly the new wines have new labels, and the Casanueva range that most of you must recognize and remember with the foil in the top. Michael, you have one of the bottles. You can show it there too.
With the foil. You mean this is the yes?
Exactly. So all of those have been for more than 20 years, maybe in at your homes, in your orders, in the offerings. And this year we wanted to do a tribute to my grandmother and a tribute to the artwork. The pandemic, COVID made us all be a little bit in our homes. So this year, not only showing or showcasing my grandmother's paintings in some of the labels, also we have some of the drawings or paintings of some other family members. So El Barrio, the one I have here, this is a drawing from my wife, Julia, which is also connected there. I can see iPhone of Julia connected. So maybe at one moment she'll say briefly hello. And this is basically, barrio means neighborhood. And for us, obviously this year or last year, neighborhood was very important for everybody to be happier, supported, and feel like a bigger family. So her intention with this El Barrio was to show that last year, with the beginning of the virus around, neighborhood, family was something very, very important. And the other label that was made also, that's in the offering, is called the Valisa. La Valisa is a drawing from my sister. Valisa is the point where people meet, where is a buoy. When people are swimming and they go to a certain point, they find the buoy, and in that buoy is where they kind of gather and talk about. And that was also a drawing from her. So basically, and to make it reality, well, this is the painting of my grandmother. You see, so it's not something I made up, and that's the label this year for the Rosé. So basically, I wanted to show you those two things here. Also, we have the vineyards that also painted by my grandmother. In the old days, that was my younger brother Diego walking in the vineyards. And that label is the one that we've been using and we chose for the whole selection range of the new Casanueva wines. You see, so Casanueva has this new look with an image and something a little bit more modern, but still linked to our family and our in a way passion for wine. And
just
you will
beautiful,
have also,
Roberto. Just beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much. But also in the offering this year, something new. We have those library wines, and those library wines, because they're wines that have the old labels, you will be able to get this family reserve Cabernet Sauvignon in the previous, our vintage label, how we're going to call them now. And also we're going to have in the library collection, our late harvest, Noble Botrytis. These are all wines that have been bottled already. They've been in our cellar door, being kept, and our wines that normally we use for vertical tastings. And in this case, Jane chose this too as something new for the offering, for you to have as something to taste of something years behind. So if you tasted once a family reserve cab in the past and you liked it, well, you can get it now again with this kind of new thing that we're doing.
And with a little more age on it.
A little more age and more time in the cellar, so it's all well kept and very good conditions. Any question, Michael? Have I gone sidetracked, or am I fine?
I think you are fine at the moment, sir.
Okay. Anything you need to drag me back? Just put me in mute, or check the screen.
Don't worry. I'll interrupt you all sorts of times and let you know if you're going too long.
Okay, cool. So, well, this offering, of course, all of you know, is 2A2. And the wine we're going to show today, or we're tasting, is the one I have here. I put some old books in a way to lift it up, so you can see the bottle all the time. And that number for that wine is that one. So I did that drawing also for you to have.
This is not your first rodeo, Roberto, I can tell.
Well, I have to have everything in place, bottle opener, spittoon, the glasses, a pen, and the charger for the phone, just in case. I'm going to start saying that today I was going to do a tasting outside in the terrace, but in the last maybe 60 years, 50 years, it hasn't rained in the end of January. So very lucky this weekend. We've had thunders, rain, storm, branches of trees falling. It's really different. So it's something new for us, but also new things that we need to come forward to see if that's going to affect us or not. Hopefully not, right? So anyway, that's why we can, fingers crossed. But still, it's hot, It's a little bit more humid. It's not at all like you guys over there with the cold winter. You were telling me 13
minus 13 Celsius here in Kitchener, Ontario today.
Oh my God, yeah, that's bad.
No fun.
No fun. I'm gonna quickly go down with my screen there because I saw Charlie.
Yeah.
Yes, he has arrived. Yes. Thank you for coming, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
They were slightly worried, and they were saying that I had to talk about your wines. And I said, "Oh man, what am I gonna do?" Good.
Confused. I thought it was 2 hours later, to be honest.
So going to the subject about natural wines, they've asked me, like, for us, we've been a traditional winemaking family for decades. We went to the market with traditional wines, and I'm going to distinguish between traditional wines and natural wines, because traditional wines are, in a way, natural products, but they are done in a process that we've learned that the wine has to be clean, stabilized, protected from the environment, and a wine that had to last longer. The truth is that when you realize after you've made natural wines, what are natural wines? The first question. Natural wine is a wine that has nothing added in the whole process, in our case. So basically, we cut the grapes, we harvest the grapes, we press them, we put them in the tank, we wait for the fermentation to start. The fermentation starts, the fermentation finishes. When the fermentation finishes, depending on which is the wine we're doing, if we need to wait for malolactic fermentation, we wait as the minimum time we can, and then I bottle. So basically, as a low intervention as possible, that's what it is for us. There's no sulfites added in the whole process. There's no yeasts added, no enzymes. So the wine naturally ferments with the natural yeasts that the grapes have. Grapes, as you know, they have natural yeast embedded in their skins, and basically, if you cut grapes at home and you put them in a bucket, they will start fermenting by their own. And if they don't, well, you can put some yeasts, and maybe it's going to bubble more and it will finish faster. But the traditional wine, after the fermentation is finished, we add sulfites to protect the wine, to avoid the wine from going into microbiological problems. And then when we bottle, we filter the wine and we stabilize. Stabilize means that you make the wine go through a cold process to make all the sediments go down, and basically then you bottle. So the wine that you have at home, is crystal clear, transparent, has no sediments. You put it in the freezer, no sediments will come down. In a natural wine, you will have sediments because the wine is not filtered. So if you shake the bottle, you will find sediments floating. Some of them are going to be in bigger shape, bigger size. Some of them just going to look like powder. And if you put the wine in the freezer or in the cold fridge, you will have some crystals, some tartrates, and bigger sediments. So basically, when you go to the natural wine world, you have to accept that you're going to gain a lot, but maybe the wine is going to look blurrier, cloudier. But what you gain is so much. You gain in flavor, you gain in structure, mouthful. For me, it's very difficult to drink sometimes now wines that have been filtered because they lack in structure. So for me, drinking natural wines today is a great discovery, is a great thing to share, is a great to understand, because you might find that maybe you don't like the sediments, but if you enjoy the wine and you want to feel all those mouthful character and that structure, it's a great way to appreciate wine. And how do we start it? Because we've been tasting wines from the tanks for always. We finish the fermentation, we come home, we taste some wines, we see how they look, and they say, oh, this is nice, this is great. How could we do to make this really be in a bottle? And one year, well, 2018 was the first year we started making natural wines. We showed them in some wine events, and they were really well received and appreciated. And we basically started in New York, and from there has spread to many places around the world, because they have been understanding the fact that a natural wine can be great. It's a wine to be, in our case, to drink young. So we have here the El Barrio 2020. In my experience, I don't know how long the wine can really last. Maybe Charlie has more experience. He can tell us more later. But for us, I'm going in something short and young. So all the wines, natural that we do, we bottle them in batch bottlings. I don't have stocks of the wine really bottled. And according to demand from some of our customers, we bottle and then we deliver them. And so basically we're selling today, this year, 2020. And when 2021 comes, we'll do 2021. Hopefully not having too much stocks, because we don't want the wine to be drunk old and aged.
And Roberto, Jane mentions a drinking window of 21 to 24 for the one we have on offer this year.
Yeah, perfect.
So as long as it's properly stored, it'll be fine for 3 years in cellar, right? Yes.
Exactly. I mean, I always say, and I know that many of you members, you keep the wine in the right place. But it's the same when you go to supermarket and you buy those delicate groceries, or if you buy butter, you put it in the fridge, you take care of it, you put it in a cooler, you don't just leave the bottle anywhere. So I think with a natural wine, you have to be more careful. You have to care more where you keep the wine. Obviously, the wine is in those machines and it's chilled, like we have them in the cellar, which is in 14, 12 degrees. The wine's gonna last longer. Now, my experience after I open the wine, that the wine doesn't go off very fast as well. So the myth that sulfites keep the wine super long and protected, I don't feel it so much, because you open the bottle of wine and you can drink it during the week and the wine's still going to be feeling well. And if it's a little bit warmer day, we'll put it in the fridge and the wine would even last longer.
And Roberto, from the way that you've described it, I think that what you mean about it being unfined, unfiltered, is that there is some sediment in suspension, but you don't deliberately want that sediment to be in. You don't literally shake the bottle so that you get that body and structure, right? You still want that to settle out and pour it carefully, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's also to the taste. For example, the red, obviously when you have the red and you keep it stored, you can pour it, with care, so the wine doesn't drop the sediments into the glass. But in the case of the whites, if you want to have those sediments as part of the structure that you're drinking, you can have the bottle shaked and then pour the bottle as an average, in a way to be sure that the sediments are in suspension. So I recommend, to try both ways. Try and check what's better. You like it with the sediments in suspension, or you like it clear and sedimented. My dad, for example, he likes them sedimented, and he pours it very gently to the glass. I shake them, and I prefer to serve them with the sediment, because that full body character is what I'm also looking for. Obviously, when the wine is in the glass, you'll have some sediments at the end, and maybe we'll see that when we taste the wine. So I'm going to open the bottle, shall we?
Absolutely.
Shall I? I mean, because you
yes, I don't have one. I have to settle for this. It's too bad.
Sorry, but we can redo this tasting after you all have the wine again, and we can make a kind
Absolutely.
of competition or raffle or quiz, maybe in 8 months' time, and maybe whoever wins can have a replica, of the label in a poster, and you can put it at your cellar door. I don't know. Just ideas.
Sounds like a great idea.
All of our natural wines, and especially El Barrio, they are sealed with wax. Yeah. So I'm going to just show quickly how to open this, because sometimes I see a lot of people taking a lot of time to open it. And in fact, you don't need to cut the wax like they do a lot, many places. You can just easily pick the bottle opener, squeeze it in the wax because it's very soft, and just turn it all around, stick it in. So if you're worried of not ordering this wine because of the wax, don't worry. No, there's no wax problem. And when it's in, you just make the traditional opening of the bottle. And you see, it comes very easily
Right
out.
through.
Yeah,
Wow.
right through. And then when you take out the cork, you're careful of not dropping little pieces of wax inside. In this case, because the wax is orange, you will easily see it and you will not kind of swallow it.
Right.
And then when it's ready, it's super clean. Has no little edges of wax
Isn't that
at all.
interesting? I learned something new today already.
Excellent. That's good. So the idea of this natural wine is that obviously, because it's natural, it's not fine and it's not filtered, bottles could change from one to another. And that could be just by fact of if one was more exposed to light than the other one, or if one was chilled, or one, I don't know, had something different in its wine process. So then I pour it. And if I talk about just the color that Jane outstands in this, she wrote concentrated, full flavors, dark fruit. And what you can see just by the color, it's really dark fruit here. And it's like, I don't know, raspberries, blueberries. I mean, you can't even see through. It's so thick because of its natural process. This was bought, I mean, again, I kind of, it's sometimes unbelievable that a wine that's 2020, it's bottled so soon. I normally would have waited for a traditional wine maybe 6 months or 8 months to bottle a wine. This 2020, in your case, we're bottling it soon because it will be delivered maybe in March, April. But the first bottling of this were made in, if I'm not wrong, around the end of August, September. So basically, it's a very, very young wine for a red wine. In the first bottling, the wine was a little bit more tart. And Jane, when she tasted it, she wrote some notes of tartness because the wine at that age maybe was a little bit more tart. But the wine, as it has grown in age, either in the tank or in the bottle, that part of tart goes fading a little bit, and many of the fruit character outstands. So in the nose, basically what you see in the view, which is dark fruit, almost cassis color. In the nose, raspberry and blueberry, blackberry come out. In the mouth, I'm sorry to tell you this, guys, but the wine is super, super nice. Tasting it now. I should have sent the bottle to Charlie so he could have tasted it with me and could have given his notes and his idea. But I'll send you one, Charlie, so you can tell me anyway, huh? The wine in the mouth has a little tart finish, but the fruit character, the balance of acidity, alcohol, residual sugar, which is natural, it's not even sweet, but it's the balance that makes the wine very, very intense. And well, hope you will enjoy it.
I'm really curious about the tannins on a red that's this young and that dark. Are they really chalky, or are they because it's
as a natural wine, knowing that obviously the wine was not going to age, was not going to go through barrel aging, we did the traditional fermentation, which is with the skins, pump overs and trying to extract some color. But we did probably half what we normally do with a normal wine. So basically it was as less intervene as possible. Basically, we just did the delestage, which is just basically emptying the tank and then covering it just for having the skins wet. We didn't really pump over and over extract. And we did that up to maybe, I don't know, when the wine was 10 grams of sugar, maybe not even ready to be finished its fermentation, we stopped the wetting of the skins, and we removed the skins of the wine in order not to have, when the wine gets drier, to avoid that contact of the wine, a drier wine with the skins, where more and more tart and tannic character can be extracted.
And how many grams of sugar did it end up at after you stopped at 10 and it was continuing to go down?
Yeah, the wine carried on its fermentation up to 2, 1 point. Some tanks were 1.5, very, very dry. One of them finished at 4, the other one finished at 2.5. At the end, the average, maybe the blend might have 2 point something grams. But again, with a lot of tanks, and depending on the blend, some of the blends might vary, you know, in the contents of all these elements.
And for those on the call, there's people at varying levels of wine education. As the sugar drops, it's becoming alcohol, so the alcohol goes up and the sugar goes down. And what Roberto was saying is that as the sugar was getting down to 10 grams per liter, they stopped with a lot more of the pump over, you were saying. So again, that's that skin contact, which then you can start getting those bitter tannins, right? At that point, so you stop doing that. So, and Stephanie was asking, I think we've been kind of skirting around this about natural wines being better young. I think the answer is an absolute yes. And do they have aging potential? And we really said that 3 years would be pushing it, right?
I mean, could be pushing it, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm tasting still the 2018, and that's going to be 3 years, and it's tasting really, really good. Again, the wine have been stored in my cellar, so it's in a sure condition, a cool condition. But I know from other people that have been doing natural wines, and some wines are 5 years, 7 years aged, and they can still hold well. My recommendation for the wines that we do, I promote them to be enjoyed soon, young, because there's where you get the purity, the fruit character, and the freshness of the wine. Many of you have tasted for sure Beaujolais wines that are those kind of very young wines from
the Beaujolais Nouveaux that come out in November here in Canada. Yes.
So this wine, for example, it should be characterized like a Nouveau wine, because it's after 5 months from harvest, in a way the wine is ready. So, but with a concentration and levels of structure and richness that are in a way uncomparable. So I think it's clearly part of the soil, part of the weather conditions we have in Chile that allows us to do in Chile great natural wines. And for all of you also to know, Chile is a long, narrow country. The weather conditions we have are unique in the world. The Pacific Ocean, the cold stream of the Humboldt Current, the high Andes Mountain, the driest desert in the world, the Atacama Desert in the north, and Antarctica and the Lake District in the south, they protect our, in a way, weather conditions, and it creates what we always call the winemaker's paradise, because making wine here, it's easy. You don't have to just fail the easy things to be done, and you can have great wines. And if you add to that great conditions of weather, except for this week, you know, that we had all this torrential rains, the grapes are grown naturally. They can be naturally organic the way that we grow them. So if you add to that, trying to put them in the bottle young, I think is a great venture. Is a great future for Chilean wine to be and to go to as much low intervention wines as possible, because at the end that's what the world also wants to taste more. The natural things as real as possible, and to share what we share here when we're in a wine tank. That you open the tank, you get some samples and you taste it and you say, wow, this is great. That's what we're trying to do with natural wines, is to get that stage that we really enjoy as winemakers, to get it to our customers around the world.
And Roberto, if you don't mind my just speaking to a comment here from Mandy, talking about residual sugars. We brought it up, and we recently changed from the number of grams per liter of residual sugar in our catalog to just a sweet or semi-sweet and such. And we've had quite a number of our members take exception to that change. So Mandy and others that have done so, we are looking at our decision and we may reverse it. But one of the reasons was that it's very difficult at the stage that that Jane tastes the wines, and when we get samples, we don't absolutely know where that residual sugar is going to end up. And so we had preferred to put it into a range as opposed to be specific. And so just speaking again to the opinion members here, bear with us, and we may be changing that back. And certainly once the wines arrive, we could always publish an update for them. And then Roberto, I've also got Karen saying, weren't all wines originally natural wines? And I guess that would be absolutely true, wasn't it? And you kind of alluded to that at the beginning of your talk as well.
Yeah. Well, I think in the past, obviously, wines were totally natural. They were made in, in the buckets, and then the priest would just drink the wine from the bucket after the fermentation was just done. And I think for decades, the wine industry went into protecting the wine, make them commercial, make them lasting longer, make them be better by adding more things. But I think something Chile has discovered in the last decade or the last 5 years is that all that technological factors of adding things to the wine, to the vineyards, to protect the conditions, sometimes they're not needed. And we're lucky to be able to avoid them, because we don't, in a way, need them to make great wine that can be enjoyed to everyone.
And Karen is saying that based on that history, wouldn't we know how long they would last or age? But that varies so widely by wine. Wouldn't you agree that you just don't know specifically which wine is going to age best and which won't?
Yeah, for the natural wines, I can't be sure, and I can't assure, because I wouldn't be sure how you've been keeping the wine. So if the wine is received by you, you keep it in a cool place and store it well. My recommendation is obviously taste the wine first. Don't keep them all going. If the wine tastes good and you like it, drink them all soon, because they're in the right time. And next year when you get them again, well, maybe get more, but I guess if the wine tastes good, why wait? And I've heard sometimes in tasting I've done with the members and travels in Canada, it's like they say, oh, I kept 2 cases of that great wine. And I said, did you taste one? I said, no, I haven't tasted any bottle yet. I said, well, taste 1 bottle. And that member then wrote to me and said, oh, Roberto, thanks for telling me that, because I tasted 1 bottle. They were fantastic. So we drank them all like in 2 or 3 weeks, because maybe the wine can last longer. But because the ability that you guys have, that you buy a case or you buy more than 1 bottle, taste them in the beginning. Write your notes and say, okay, I like this wine. No, the wine is still a little bit full body. I'm going to wait a bit longer. And if, of course, you have a Grand Reserve or a Founder's Choice program or Super Age, of course, you can be sure that wine is going to last longer anyway. But taste of everybody's, they're all different. Some people like the tannins. Some people don't like the tannins. So it's very difficult to give a rule to say, yeah, that bottle, make it last, make it long, because it's according to personal.
And I say that to members, those that are willing to listen, and they know that I'm always willing to talk, is that when my Founder's Choice case arrives, I always open a bottle to get a sense of it, about where I like it. And some of them do come that I know that they're ready and I'm going to drink through the 6 of them fairly quickly. And others I can tell that they need some time, and I put them in the cellar and I open them once a year. And I always say, and I do this, I leave one, the 6th bottle always gets left until it's really old. And sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. So it's very good. So we're down to a few more minutes for you, Roberto. So why don't we go through the other wines that are that we're offering of yours this time? Specifically, you and I talked about the Hacienda de Molina, because it's in my glass, and it's in 2 formats this year. So
exactly. So we have it in the traditional format, which I don't have the bottle here, but you have it there. Right?
Yeah, oh, that's right. I do. There you are.
Yeah. So you got the traditional bottle, 750 ml, and we did this for this year. We did the Magnum, 1.5 liter. So it's a bottle in a familiar size. A familiar not too big family, because then you're not gonna get too much in your glass. But a small family, you can enjoy it, and that's why we have the options of for 3 bottles or 6 bottles in a pack.
Right.
So it's a big family and they like wine, get the 6-pack. If it's a smaller family, just get the 3. But it's a wine that you can drink through the week or through the weekend, because it's a very easy drinking blend. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Carmener, 2 very distinctive varieties here in Chile. And it will come also with a wax sealing. So again, for the opening method, remember to just put the bottle opener through and then take the wax out. Don't bother in cutting it.
Wonderful.
Okay, so that's the Hacienda Molina in the Magnum. I told you guys about the 2 wines which are the library collection. One is the Cabernet Sauvignon, and the other one was the Late Harvest. Those are in their traditional packaging, so you can go back to memories if you feel like. If you don't like modern, go back to memory and say, I want that family reserve aged 2015. I'm not sure if Julia is there. Julia, are you there? Can you pop out so you can say something about your label? But if you're not, because you're with the kids, you're not.
And Colette was saying, oh, it's gone all the way up, Colette. Hang on a quick sec. Oh, considering that there are no additives or stabilizers, should the wines have some time after being shipped? Will they be less stable, so they need to sit for a bit to avoid bottle shock?
They're going to be in the same unstable state that when I bottle them to when the moment they arrive to you. So just keep it for a day, and as the case arrives, it's going to be already settled in Canada. So maybe the bottle shock will be past, but the wine will be already ready to enjoy. So the first moment you receive them, be very excited, open the box, take out the bottle of wine and taste it. So I can see Julia. Michael, can you see Julia there? She's.
I don't get to see everybody, so
yeah,
I will wave anyway. Hello,
sure.
Julia.
Sure,
there. Yes, iPhone. Yes. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Julia. I'm in love. What are you doing so far? Well, she created this label. Yeah, El Barrio. Yeah. Oh, that's little Romelu, little lady. Yeah. So basically, you can follow Julia's artwork also and see all the lovely paintings and drawings that she does. So this was something very important for us for this year to put the artwork of my family to all of you members, because it was something also to get connected. And I remember Kim Tien and Zoe, I think they asked me, well, can you send us the sketches, and how you did this label and different drafts? And I asked Julia, well, can you send me the sketches? And she said, well, I don't have any sketches. She just did it in a paper. And basically that was it. That's as simple as just drawing something on a piece of paper and then putting that in a label. So when we think that we have to go through all this difficult processes to making a label, this is a very simple and easygoing label. You want to say
low
something?
Intervention label.
What?
It's a low intervention label.
Right,
yes.
There you are. It suits. Thank you, Julia. They're absolutely beautiful. We just love them. So thank you for contributing those.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure complete.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to hang in with us, Roberto. We're going to listen to Charlie for a bit. And if you don't mind, if we have any questions, it'll be for both of you at the end.
And the last one, Michael, just to show the Castanueva.
Please do.
Yeah. So the Castanueva are the 2 of my grandmother. So basically, those are the ones that are showing the artwork of my grandmother in something new and launching it for the Castanueva range only for Opinion members. So you're all very exclusive this year. So
I think I'm going to have to start hanging your bottles on the wall. So
yeah,
that,
don't forget that number.
Right, there you are. Nicely done. And also Anais has been putting those numbers over in your chat box as well, so you can go there and scroll up and down, and those are the wines that we talked about today. So hello, Charlie Villard. Do you like Villard or Villard? How do you like to pronounce it, Charlie?
My father's French, my mother's Chilean. But hi everyone. Sorry for my late arrival, but I thought it was at 20 a las 8, not at 18. I thought it was at 8, not at 18. So sorry, but here I am. I'm at my beach house in front of the Pacific Ocean after a good session of surf. So if you want, I can show you a little bit of the Pacific that we have here. That's the Pacific Ocean cold temperature. And we're
forgive
here
us for
today
not feeling
to talk
sorry
about
for you. You'll forgive us for not feeling sorry for you, Charlie.
No.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Roberto, for the introduction also. And natural wines. Natural wines is something that's been trendy for a while, and something new. Some people don't understand very well what it means for, what does it represent. But for me, it all started in 2005 when I worked in Italy and La Stoppa in Emilia-Romagna with Elena Pattaglione, that does natural wines for more than 15 to 20 years, and something unique. I really didn't understand it as well in that point in 2005. I was a bit young in my perspective of wine. Wine has changed so much in the last years, 10 to 15. And the perception of wine, I think for everybody here, changes. I remember before I used to like bulky wines, heavy wines, and you can see how your palate changes. And little by little, I started going into this tendency when you drink a lot of wine, you taste a lot of wine, there's not many things that blow your mind at the end of the day. And you're told, I do a wine selection for one of the most famous restaurants in Chile, and we taste all the wines of Chile, and you get tired of the common stuff, and so you're always searching for things that are quite new. And I remember when I started selling my wines in New York, the best wine bars in the world, I think they're in New York. It totally blew my mind. And I started going into orange wines. I always liked that certain different that orange wines produce in terms of tasting. And little by little, I started tasting all these orange wines. I had worked in La Stoppa that they do with Malvasia. And I started tasting and I said, well, I want to make an orange wine. It was like, so come back with the idea back home. Villard, what is Villard known for? For making very elegant wines, subtle wines, very long, not overpowered with the fruit, neither with the oak. It's a very determined style of wine that goes very good well with fine dining and everything. And when I come up with this idea of natural wines, of course, my dad hated it. You know, old school, doesn't into this new tendency of natural wines. To be honest, I've tasted a lot of natural wines around the world, and I'm not totally fan of all of them. And I would say maybe a 30%, because some can be very faulty, whatever. But I still keep my line of that cleanness, that freshness, length in the wine. And so, well, okay, I'm going to do an orange wine. What do I do it with? We have Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay. And I said, no way. I tried to taste something around the world, never found something interesting. So I started contacting my mates, my neighbors, and some people from Casablanca, what they had. And I turned up with a friend of mine that he had a little bit more than an hectare of Pinot Grigio. So I said, wow, Pinot Grigio. So I started on my trips overseas to taste orange wines made of Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio made as an orange wine is denominated Ramato. Ramato also is denominated red hair. About in Italy, it means Pinot Grigio made as an orange wine. And I was quite surprised that you would arrive to wine bars or even restaurants that in categories of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, you had categories of Ramato, and you had Ramatos from different parts around the world. And I was like, wow, this is super interesting. So I started tasting all these Pinot Grillos around the world. I'd say, okay, I'm going for it. So 2017 was my first vintage of not labeled Villard because my dad was totally against it. So it's called JCB Charlie Villard. So
I noticed that he made you change the label.
Yeah, of course, but it's a good idea because Villard has a characteristic for traditional winemaking and very elegant. And this is a more freaky style and orange wine, something unique. And to be honest, my dad is not a big fan. Right? It's something unique. So first year, 2017, and so first year I couldn't even make the wine inside the winery. I did it in on the patio vendimia. How would you say that, Roberto? And where you receive the grapes, I did the reception there and made the wine outside. And we were quite surprised. Well, everybody would bull me, bullying all the harvest, like how's your wine doing and everything. And by the end of the harvest, the wine appeared quite interesting. And I just kept it for a while, then decided not to filter, just decanted it a little bit, and then I bottled it. And immediately we presented to a wine journalist here in Chile, that is Lejo Chao, and it was revealed as wine of the year, as a Vino Revelación. So that's when it started, only with around 600 bottles. And next year I went up to 2,000, and then now the production, we're up to about 7,000 bottles of this wine. And what we do is, this is a Pinot Grillo 100%. What I do is destem the grapes, put them in the tank, and I keep it on cold temperature as long as it can last, at least 5 days. And then I just drop the cooling system on the tank. And I don't heat it at all. I just let the yeast go by themselves, and it starts fermenting, and I do pump overs. Orange wine is like a red wine. It's a white variety, but made as a red wine, but it's even longer. Normally a red wine, you will leave it 2 weeks to 3 weeks on the skins. This wine, I left it 60 days on the skins. This is my girlfriend, Macarena.
Sorry.
So this is, if you can see the color, it's very copper up to orange style. And this is because of the skin contact. So this wine has a lot of tannins that comes from the grapes and from the seeds of the wine. And it's very unique in style of wine. And I don't think everybody has tasted orange wines before.
No.
Orange wines is something not very common in the wine industry, and it's something unique. It's originally from Georgia, also from Italy, but originally from Georgia, but in Italy they make fantastic orange wines. And it's something unique. And then I kept on going with this tendency to make orange wines, and I made a Semillon in 2019. You can.
Oh, have we lost Shirley?
Well, maybe it's the weather conditions.
Yeah. So we'll just take a moment here and see if he comes back. I assume, is he frozen for you too, Roberto?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Probably his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think, did he drop out?
I came to the winery to do a tasting because I have, there he is.
Huh?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you're back, and you're still on stage, Charlie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's the story about the Pinot Grillo, but then I've always believed that when I travel, I get inspired to make a new wine. It always happens to me. This orange wine was totally about my travels to New York and tasting all those wines. Then once, with a friend of mine, I tasted a Semillon that blew my mind. And Semillon is something that arrived to Chile 100 years ago, but I thought Chile has a good potential for Semillon. There's a lot of people producing Semillon now in Chile. It's like the new era thing. But I said, I want to do it a little bit different. And it's always also made as an orange wine, but I don't personally classify it like an orange wine, even though it is an orange wine. This wine passed 60 days with the skins. No, 30 days, sorry. The Pinot Grillo 60 days, this one 30 days. But my idea of putting that skin contact onto this wine was just to give it a little bit of, how do you say, like backbone to the wine, to give it like this backbone at the end of the mouth, to give it some tannins, and to make it more complex. So, and I didn't filter at all. I left it with a lot of sediments. You can see how cloudy the wine is. It's really cloudy. And I do it on purpose because I want this, this lees to protect the wine, because it's a wine that never saw sulfur on all its life. And so this lees will protect the wine. And these are the two wines that I have in portfolio under the JCV Charlie Villard. I'm releasing now a Malbec that I did from Casablanca. Next year I'm doing a Garnacha, that is a Grenache. And we're making a whole portfolio out of this range of wine. It's been very well accepted. But for the instance, I've been just starting with orange wines, and but with the neat way, not in that dirtiness. I'm a kind of winemaker that likes cleanness and likes nitidez, how you say in Spanish, but do not like that some natural can be a bit faulty sometimes. But more or less it's that. Guys, give me some questions. I love to answer them.
I can help you there, Charlie. A fellow named Edwin, he's tried the La Stopa and wondered how your orange compares to that one.
Oh, well, La Stopa is made out of Malvasia. Malvasia is a very aromatic variety, so it's got nothing to do with Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio is not a very exuberant variety, but nevertheless, it's very interesting. I think it's different parts of the world, different varieties. You cannot compare one from the other. And on top of that, all my respect to Elena Pantaglione and La Stopa, Italy. I think we're coming behind them. We're learning from them. That's what I did. I went over there to learn.
And I think that's one of the very interesting things about natural orange, that I think the lines are a little more blurry than they are with other wines that we're used to, in that you were saying even that one of your wines is, it may be classified as orange, but you don't even consider it to be orange. Have we lost him again? Am I talking to myself, Roberto?
I think we lost
Yes,
him.
okay. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, probably not categorized as orange because it's not a white age so long, but still is 100% natural. And the same what he was saying about the blurriness, the not clear. In some of our labels to other markets, we put shake before opening, because it's the difference of the cloudiness is what gives the wine some special character.
Right. It's something many of us have never tried before, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie, you missed all the questions. We're done. Yeah, no, that's hang in there. We'll get you some more.
They were asking about how high waves do you surf?
Yes.
Sorry, how long do I surf? I surf since I'm 17 years old. I'm a long-time surfer, and it's my passion. Yeah, that's what I love doing. So that's why beach house in front of the sea, and whenever I can, I go into the water. The connection with the Pacific Ocean is my thing.
And can you say a few words about your Tanagra, which so the Villard Tanagra, it's in our collector's corner, and it's a special wine. David was asking you to say a few things about it.
Well, Tanagra is the first wine I made when I started working at Villard, and that was in 2005 after traveling all around the world making wine. And my dad is somebody that has done a great, how do you say, aporte? I would say he's somebody that did something good for the wine industry in Chile regarding quality. So I didn't want to be always his, you know, like sombra, how do you say, shadow. So I said immediately, I have to do something that goes over what is done. And I said, okay, let's do a top Syrah from Casablanca. And this is barrel fermented, done with an integral system of vinification. So what I actually do, well, then I planted the plantation for this wine, but at the beginning it was only vinification. I bought the grapes at the beginning, but then we planted. But what I do is that I destem the grapes and introduce the grapes in the barrels with a funnel and crushing them by hand. And each barrel is over 4 wheels. And I turn the barrels 8 times a day. So from 7 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock at night, intervalling the turns. So the wine never goes through a pump, never goes through a tank, and the wine is born in the barrel. So I believe that the integration of the oak is much better, just like in Burgundy for Chardonnay, you understand. So as the wine is born in the barrel, fermenting inside the component, that the other component is the oak, the integration is much more subtle, much more fine. And also, if you just turn the barrels, not using a pump, tannins just become so round, so gentle. It's only handcrafted way. There's no.
Oh man, I think we've lost him again. So we'll wait a minute or two. Sorry about this. Is it like this in Chile all the time, or Roberto? We haven't had any trouble with your connection.
It's my connection, sorry guys.
Yeah.
He's back. Excellent. So the Tanagra, and I was just looking at the drinking window there, 21 to 28, according to Jane for this wine. But you were saying that the tannins will be different, the oakiness will be different because of the process by which you're making that wine, right, Charlie?
Obviously, because as you make, we're talking about the orange wines, right?
No, now I'm back. We wanted to finish off on the Tanagra. That because you were saying that it's because you're not doing pump overs and the way you're having contact to the oak is different.
The extraction of the tannins is much more subtle. Sometimes, like, that's why I do 8 turns a day, because normally in a red wine you would do 3 pump overs a day. Like if you're very excessive, it could be 4. I do 8 because as it's so gentle, I have to try to extract more tannins. So sometimes Tanagra, the final blending, I'm like, this wine is too soft. It's like too round and too soft. Needs a little bit more grip. So that's why I really go a little bit further on the amount of turns during the day. But it's all in softness, in lengthness. It's like almost velvety, that wine, I would say. Yeah.
And another question on the orange wines, are they aged most often in amphora on orange wines?
My orange wines, they do not touch any oak. I do it 100% in stainless steel. Nevertheless, this is a wine that still can age because it's been skin contact for a long time, especially for the Pinot Grillo. It's been 60 days. Precedent year was for 90 days on contact with the skins. So that gives a lot of protection to the wine. But as Roberto said, always try a wine early, and always it's going to have more freshness at the beginning, and then it can gain some complexity. It depends on the palate of the consumer.
Great. Well, thank you. If anybody else has any questions, if they'd like to get them in, we'll be ending fairly soon. Thank you so much, Roberto and Charlie, for joining us today. I'm really excited about trying all of these wines that you've talked about today. I'll absolutely be ordering them. Provided there's any left, I always wait till the last day of the offering to order so that the members get them first. But so hopefully hopefully they'll sell out. Hopefully they won't sell out for me. That's very selfish of me. But any other questions coming through? I don't think so. So thank you. So, and Paul would like to know how long on oak for 2235. What have we got there? 2235. Just bear with us.
I'm quite surprised with the amount of people that are present on this presentation.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, opinion members. Glad to see the interest of almost 50 people present. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's we're absolutely blown away by the how engaged our membership is. It's a fabulous thing, and we've really embraced the virtual
has a question.
Yeah.
Hey, can I answer a question that?
Please do.
A
Absolutely.
few thoughts on American
Go ahead,
versus
Charlie.
French oak.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mandy, I'm going to answer that question on my total personal opinion, but how I make our wines. I do not use American oak on any Chardonnay Pinot Noir. That's where our Pinot Noir is like the biggest production product that we make. We're like famous about our Pinot Noirs. And I never use American oak on either Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. Why? Because American oak is a little bit more sweeter. It's a little bit more sweeter, oakier in a certain way. And it just makes the wine a little bit more roundier and a little bit more sweetier. And Pinot Noir and Chardonnay hates that. It's totally contrary. I do not use none at all. But nevertheless, we make Syrah, and we make quite a bit of Syrah. And it's the only variety that I use as American oak, but I would use around 20 to 30% of the whole total of oak. I would maybe use 70% French and 30% American. But that 30% of American to Syrah, that thinking that our Syrah is a cold climate Syrah, it really gives a nice balance to the wine. It gives this more roundiness, it gives it more sweetness, because sometimes the acidity of Casablanca Syrah is a little bit sharp. It gives it this smoothness to the wine that really apports. Here, we're all cooks. Everybody likes their own ingredients. I'm just giving my personal opinion, but that's my opinion on regards to American and French oak. Me, I'm a fan of French oak, and American just a little bit in the Syrah.
And Charlie, when I was in Chile, I got to visit your family's cooperage as well. Members may not know that you're barrel makers as well. So we did a tasting of wines that were specific to the same wines made in different oak, and it was quite an eye opener as to what a difference that makes in the type of oak you use, the amount of what is it, the amount of burning, the toast, the amount of toast on it makes a huge difference, and that's what makes you stand out among other winemakers, right? Is that both of you, Roberto and Charlie, understand those and make your wines so tasty. It's fabulous. There was a question.
Just going to add that I agree with all what Charlie said about French and American. I'm a very fan of French. Probably we started using American when we started maybe 20 years ago, but years from year, probably today, maybe 98% of what we use is French and very little American oak. French is finesse, is elegance, it adds to the wine. And when you have delicate wines with delicate production and origin, barrel in a way needs to add and not cover. And French adds and enhances the beauty of the grape for me.
Wonderful. And we've had a
Exactly.
question about one of my favorite subjects, which is glassware. Someone's asked with the orange and natural wines, which might be different, but what shape or type of glass would you use with an orange wine? Would you use a white wine glass or a red wine glass? Or has Riedel made a specific orange wine glass yet?
I've never heard about it, but as you can see me, I'm using Burgundy style of glasses.
Yes.
I like the bigger the better.
Yes. I mean,
because orange wine has been a lot of in contact with the skins, so it's a wine that has to open, especially the Pinot Grigio. If anybody of you buy this wine needs a little bit of air. I can even recommend to decant it. Yeah, I would decant the wine in a decanter. Yeah.
Right, but you're thinking an open bowl is what you like with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Roberto, do you have a glassware preference with your natural wine?
Well, I have to be honest. Glassware for me is I'm using a very good crystal glass now here in the tasting, but in general, I drink wine or enjoy wine. Well, it's gonna sound very unprofessional, but
No,
so
it's personal taste. That's good.
Like the Spanish say, they have the caña, a little glass. My wife Julia likes very kind of old glassware that are kind of small, different shape, and so basically, sometimes the pours are small, kind of 2-sip pour. So I sip it, I pour it to the glass, and enjoy it in the mouthful. But sometimes I enjoy crystal, and sometimes to swirl and get the aromas. But I don't have personally a selection of glassware. Just depends on where you are. Also, if you go camping or it's very hard to take your glassware. You have to take sometimes your plastic little buckets and enjoy wine.
Well, I was in your camp before, Roberto, and then I took the Riedel glass tasting. They do a tasting with 4 different styles of wine and 4 different shapes of wine glasses, and you do them back and forth. And I'm absolutely certain that lots of it has to do with the power of suggestion, but it really does taste different. And so I'm going to send you a set, and then next time we do it online, then we'll do it together, and I'll see if I can convert you.
Excellent. So does your son surf?
Sorry, did we lose him? Oh no, there he is. Oh, there they are. Oh, they're all enjoying a wine together as a family. There you are.
Yeah, we are all tasting. Hello.
Lovely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us, all the Opinion members across Canada, and both of you down in Chile, the families in Chile. We certainly appreciate your partnership. You're treasured partners of Opinion, and we thank you so very much. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everybody.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you for having. Yeah.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Oh, thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Gracias.
Enjoy wines.
Thank you to everybody.
It is another kid.
Bye bye. Bye bye. I think Charlie, we're going to be the last ones to be in the set, huh? To toast wine and drink, right?
Podemos quedar, no hay problema. We can stay.
We can stay, yeah.
Charlie,
Es un
how
ramato.
Roberto.
Dime.
Hi. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how old is your